6 o'clock on June 11th, and the discussion that will be taking place in regards to the playgrounds. Can I have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I watched last week's working group meeting, because it wasn't a Board of Public Works meeting, but Diane was the chair of it, Sean, and there was many residents that were there. And I got some pretty good insight in regards to people's thoughts on it and everything. And I'm sure people are probably wondering why I was not there. And the thing is that there was discussion with town council that I knew Trish was going, and town council felt that we could be looking at an open meeting violation in regards to both select board members being present in the crowd and everything. So he suggested maybe just one of us shows up. So that was the way, was what happened right there. So I know the Board of Public Works Chair Diane Jordan, the Superintendent Sean Passon would like to speak, and I'm sure many others here have thoughts on their mind. I do, at some point, I will want to go over the charter, just to cover that in regards to everybody's role. If nobody's unsure what the roles are between the Board of Public Works and the Select Board is. And then I have a whole bunch of pictures to show in regards to last year after they closed the playgrounds, which shocked me when it happened, but I went around to every single one besides the one I didn't know about, that was in North Marshfield. I took pictures of the conditions they were in at that time, so we can, and get an idea, and maybe Sean can update us in regards to the pictures I took and what things have been taken care of and what hasn't in going forward. So Sean and Diane, you guys want to come up and give you a presentation from last week and update the public, well, not just last week, but maybe even your discussions that you had probably up until this point in regards to what's going on and what your thoughts are.
I'll start. So today, we started our inspections on the school playgrounds. We started with Governor Winslow and Daniel Webster. I was accompanied by each one of the principals of the schools and their assistants, and Andrew Stewart and I, and my engineering team. And we conducted the inspections, found out where the deficiencies are, and what we need to do going forward. We feel that with our plan, we can knock out 3 birds with 1 stone, which is ADA compliance, safety, surface for the children, and a maintenance-free environment.
Could you repeat those again for me, Sean, please?
Sure. ADA compliance,
Yeah.
maintenance-free environment, and safety for the children.
Okay. Anything else to add?
Not right this time. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
Okay, I just want to hear from both of you, and then just go from there. How you doing, Diane?
Good, thank you. Right, so as an elected official, my job is to represent the residents and what they want. So what the residents want and what we want is going forward after the playgrounds are done for the select board to create a new town committee, an official town committee, playground committee. So the way that we see it is that the town playground committee will work with the playground inspector to identify changes that will need to be made in the future, maybe additions, anything that is broken and needs to be fixed or replaced. They'll report to the board, to the Department of Public Works and the board if necessary. on anything that the department is going to be doing for maintenance and so forth. And then, together with the DPW, they can go to town meeting and ask for funding, because the DPW has not been successful in getting maintenance funding before. But I think if there's a department and a committee both seeking that, it will happen. They could also, I think they can also get CPA funds, but just basically work with the department for the playgrounds in the future. But I want it to be an actual committee that has meetings and minutes, so it's trackable and they're held, responsible. I don't want to see us get in this position again 10 years from now. And there are moms that want to be on this committee who have awesome ideas about reaching out to sports teams for sponsorships, and they know about grants. They know a lot, and they want to be involved. So I want the select board, I'm requesting that you guys make this committee for the town playgrounds.
All right. So we're all looking to do something in regards to the ADA compliance. And one of the suggestions is the maintenance-free environment. So I imagine you're looking at the port in place.
That's correct.
So not everybody is in favor of that. Some people are. So some people have discussed, and I'll be the first one to say that I'm not a big fan of it, just due to the fact of my dealings with my children down at Library Plaza. In regards to the surface, especially where it heats up so much in the sun. If you gotta go, especially down Library Plaza, you gotta chase your kids around, you gotta be on your hands and knees. It gets very hot, in my opinion. And so what is the issue with, and I guess this is where Andrew may have to want to express his thoughts on it, but what is the issue? Is there an issue with trying to use PIP if there's no other alternative to that, and then with a combination of wood chips?
So Library Plaza, I'm not sure exactly when it was built. I want to say 12, 15 years ago. During that time to current time, the technology has changed a lot. We've done a lot of research. We've had a lot of people chime in about different products, and we're exploring those avenues. The wood chips, and I don't think anybody really thought about this, but I was walking around Daniel Webster today, and I started sneezing. I'm allergic to mold. So one of the things that came to mind, and I talked to some of the principals, and they felt the same, that there's a mold issue with the moisture in the chips. And I don't disagree with that, because I felt it myself, and I think Andrew saw me sneezing most of the morning. It doesn't hold up, and where we've had problems in the past trying to achieve funding and resources, I'm going to be honest, I don't have the staff to maintain the wood chips every year. There has to be a certain depth, which is pretty much 10 inches to a foot. You're talking $3,000 a load to bring the chips in, and in my experience last year, we probably used 2 or 3 loads for each playground, and then the manpower hours. Now, last year, since we were in such a bind, and we were trying to get the playgrounds open before the school season, I asked a lot of my staff to jump in and take on the responsibility of spreading the chips, and we paid for them out of my budget and my overtime budget. And Mike Maresco was gracious enough to reimburse me so we would recover those funds for the rest of the year. But it's a big undertaking, and you can't push a wheelchair through them. And they scatter all over the place. I've heard all kinds of complaints from the principals and some of the people behind me about the tracking the wood chips in the house, on their clothing. They're not really clean. In talking to the custodians at the schools, they would prefer the PIP, or poured in place, as we call it. because they have a hard time maintaining the playgrounds themselves, whereas it'd be a lot easier to blow off the, whatever residue is on top of the rubber matting with a leaf blower, and they'd be able to shovel the snow off if they had to, wherever they had a hell of a time, pardon my French, in the winter shoveling the snow off the wood chips. So you take all those factors and you put them in play, and I'm looking at the best solution to go forward in the future, so we don't fall in the same position we did last time, as Diane said. And it gives the kids a place to play safely, and everybody can enjoy the playground. And we're not spending a lot of money each year on maintenance. That's where I stand with it.
All right, I mean, you say there's mold in the wood chips, so I have to ask, just because, based on your sneezing, but there could be other elements. So, I mean, did you test the wood chips for mold?
I have not.
All right, so, and then you say it doesn't hold up. I mean, yeah, I would imagine, we all know that wood chips mulch breaks down over time, without a doubt. But much like if you go down to Library Plaza right now, even that PIP breaks down and doesn't hold up as well either.
But it hasn't been maintained in 12 years. That's the problem.
Sure, but that, we can go say that for the wood chips as well, right? I mean, if the wood chips were maintained on a regular basis, I would say those are probably just as fine as well. But the whole thing is, like you said, is that it's not maintained every day like it should be, in my opinion, if I'd be correct about that statement.
No, you're not wrong. But in our inspections today, we noticed that the wood chips are pretty much diminished in a lot of the spots in the playground. And they're tracked all over the place. I can understand where you're coming from, but I also, we need to do something now. We need to get these things so they're ADA compliant. And that's why I went forward, and Mike Maresco did as well. We co-signed on the application for CPC to get $750,000 to address these issues, the three I mentioned before. So I'm pretty much in favor of the PIP.
Yeah, that would,
Yeah.
that would be obvious.
I'm not going to, we can banter all night long, but
No,
that's
well,
where I
that's just it. I
stand.
mean, because the whole thing is that we have a faction of residents that want the PIP, and there's a faction that doesn't. And the whole thing is that I look at is that I'm somebody that says, hey, you know something, where can we meet in the middle on this if it's possible? And one thing I'm thinking is that, especially talking to one of the residents in regards to this whole matter, which this was the initial goal, was at least to have a pathway set up to the structures so the child could access it and everything.
That was discussed today in our inspections. And I do have an engineer on staff that designed and built athletic facilities and playgrounds, and he was with us today. And he is in favor of the port in place as well.
Is that put in place the entire playground or put in place as in a pathway to the structures?
So, for instance, Governor Winslow, we decided we would build a pathway out of asphalt so that kids can get to the playground.
You're talking about the exterior of the playground?
Yes. Inside, we decided, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, to extend some of the playground with the port in place so there was access to everything, if that makes any sense.
So you're saying extend the playground with the PIP?
Yeah, there's some areas in the playgrounds that we noticed that the surface itself ended and it was grass or stone dust. Instead of having grass and stone dust, why not include that entire area so the kids had no problem getting to where they need to go?
All right, so I mean, as you say that, it kind of throws a thought in my mind is that, all right, so when we have, this is my concern in regards to, we need to think this out for $750,000 before we spend it, and all of a sudden we regret it, and we're going back and rehashing this, and then we're gonna spend a whole bunch more money. So, I mean, as you say that, and I've heard from one or two residents that have a child that's not able to get around as well, that they would like to see, how can I look at this, in regards to playgrounds that, I mean, they said they wanted to put in place all the ways around as well themselves, but my look at it is that having a good plan, and I'm thinking, could we set up the playgrounds where everything, the equipment, well, like you said, Sean, like the put in place maybe around it, with the equipment being able to be accessed by the children that don't have their full abilities. But the only thing is that in the middle of it maybe is with wood chips or something like that. I mean, would something like that work, or?
I don't know. Andrew, do you want to speak on that?
Thanks, Sean. Andrew Stewart, Marshfield Building Commissioner. I will say that today, at least when we looked at the Daniel Webster School and the Governor Winslow School at those specific playgrounds, we did not see any opportunity to mix and match materials there. The equipment at those playgrounds is accessible. It's in really good shape. They've been recently installed. It's just the surface. And the agreement was made between the principals, the facilities director at that school, the two engineers, myself and Sean, that this was the best solution to do some drainage, to keep even surfaces with the grass and with the asphalt running right onto the poured-in-place surface, and that any mixture of materials, essentially, you're going to end up the engineered wood fiber is going to compress over time. It's going to require maintenance, more stuff to stay up to snuff with the other. And as soon as that starts to compress and go down, you're creating a trip hazard there not for any kid. And so our idea was safety for all kids. And so we're going to make all those surfaces just completely even, and the easiest way to do that and maintain it is to use poured in place right up to the asphalt or poured in place right up to the grass, and not mix and match surfaces, at least in the ones that we were at today, which we felt were very strong priority candidates to get done immediately because the equipment itself is handicap accessible, and all we have to do is the surface.
Yeah, but you're basing that on the way the playgrounds are set up right now. Would that be my understanding?
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to fix the playgrounds the way they are right now. That's the mandate. That's what we have the funds for. We don't have funds for planning new playgrounds right now. We have funds for making the current playgrounds handicap accessible by providing them with an accessible route and an accessible surface. So that's the mandate. That's what we're doing right now. As far as what happens in the future, I think everybody's open to discussing that, but what needs to happen right now, what we have the funds for, is handicap accessibility.
Yes, I would agree with, that's what the funds you have right now. The whole thing is that, so instead of at least entertaining the idea of a pathway, you want to just pour the PIP all over the place into the playgrounds. Is that my understanding?
On the two playgrounds that we visited today, yes.
And what about the other playgrounds?
We haven't visited them yet.
Okay.
So tomorrow we
So I'm
visit.
going to be the impression that when you visit them, you're going to want to PIP all those playgrounds as well.
It's a good possibility, yeah.
Right.
And we're all leaning towards that as the best solution.
It's, I don't know, I mean, my look at it is that I think a lot of some of the residents that brought up their concerns with PIP has validity to it, you know, and like I said, it's it's something that I'm concerned with, on top of trying to make this accessible to children as well.
Was there a certain study or something that caused you concern? Because all the information that I was able to garner really wasn't anything alarming or concerning to me as far as toxicity, VOCs, PFAS, or any other kind of chemicals, even lead. When I looked at the percentages of lead in PIP, it actually showed that there's more lead in soil than there is in PIP. So we're putting the PIP on the soil. I don't see how that would make it more toxic.
Well, I mean, so much the potential of toxicity, but as well as the amount of heat that from the sun when it's on it will increase, in my opinion.
We discussed that as well today because that is obviously a concern that's been raised by multiple parents, and that's a concern that's goes beyond the accessibility, correct? So what we were discussing with the principals and assistant principals today and the staff was the potential of installing sunshades in the future that could be easily maintained, replaced, taken down in the winter season by the facilities staff, but something that we could put up that would provide some shade, would provide a little comfort, and would minimize the impact from the sun on creating heat off of the rubber. And again, that's something that we could seek CPC funding for because it's a new installation onto the playgrounds. So we actually talked exactly about doing that and making that part of our next CPC request in this fall.
All right, so how many sunshades have you figured out that you would need for each playground roughly?
We haven't, because that's not the priority right now. The priority is ADA compliance, so we have a year to figure out sunshades, but right now we just need to get the surfaces.
No, I mean, I understand that, but, I got Sean telling me that they don't have the staff to maintenance the playgrounds as is, but now we're gonna add another component into it that's gonna require maintenance, in my opinion. So that's what I'm just trying to figure out right now is that.
Everything obviously requires maintenance, it's just the amount of maintenance, right? So engineered wood fiber, wood chips are gonna require far more maintenance, labor and materials, than it will to maintain the poured-in-place rubber. That's basically what we've been trying to figure out over the last several weeks with all the information that we've been garnering, and it's been pretty clear to us that that's the best option for all of these reasons.
All right, so as of right now, with the 2 playgrounds that you visited, your thoughts are just do port in place in regards to those playgrounds?
Yes, at the Governor Winslow School, we decided what we would do,
Is that the new playground, the newer playground?
the
or
newer
old?
playground, yep, to the left at the very end of Regis Road. That playground is relatively new as far as the equipment goes. Has a poured-in-place surface that was installed several years ago, but has not been maintained. So it is showing signs of wear, and it does need to be repaired. What we need to make that accessible is we need to get from the parking lot or the blacktop area, we basically need to pour a concrete sidewalk or pathway to the playground. That's really the one thing that's lacking over there. So we discussed that with the engineers. That's something that they're gonna be able to take care of pretty easily this summer, right at the, on the onset of the school ending, more than likely. And then that playground specifically will be a priority to repair the existing poured-in-place. Once those 2 things are done, that playground will be 100% accessible. And then today I issued an order to remove the rear playground. So the DPW has an order now as part of their maintenance under the charter to remove that playground. So they're going to be moving on getting that out of there. And then that in the future can be one of these playgrounds that we can actually come up with a plan for, figure out what kind of materials we want to use, because it'll be a ground zero, a playground, that we'll have to design right from the bottom up. But at least right now, we're going to clear the board, get that out of there, make it safe for everybody, and then concentrate our efforts on that other one. So that was our first stop. That was Governor Winslow. It was a really productive visit. The second was Daniel Webster School. We first went to the rear playground, which was installed several years ago, has good equipment, but it is lacking in accessibility in many, many, many areas.
Yeah, it's a tough place.
And there are currently several students at that school that have disabilities and need to use, can't use that playground with their peers. And there are more students coming into that school as well. So that's a big priority, that school for us, those two playgrounds, the one in the front and the one in the back. The one in the back, we felt, again, very similar to Governor Winslow. It is an easy one where we can take that entire surface, pull all the wood chips out of there, and make it nice and even with the blacktop and do a poured-in-place surface over everything, and that entire playground will be 100% accessible. The students will have a nice, easy transition right off the blacktop onto the poured-in-place surface with no change in level, so that we'll be completely compliant. We'll also put a perimeter drain there, like a French drain almost, right along the front to direct any water that's coming off the off of the blacktop, and direct it away from the playground and direct the playground water onto that so that we can keep the drainage all nice. Take this opportunity to kind of improve that. But that was another easy one for us. So all the equipment's relatively close together, and we just need to pull everything out and resurface that one. We went up to the front playground after that. The front playground, again, has some serious drainage issues. So it was really fortunate that we had two of the DPW engineers there and Sean there, because they were able to identify these drainage issues and immediately come up with solutions, brainstorm extra equipment that they have that might be able to work for us here, and come up with, hey, let's change this little area right here to the drainage area, and this is where we're going to catch all this water and redirect it so that we don't end up with big ponds and ice ponds, and the students aren't splashing through and everything. The other thing that happens too when all the water ponds up like that is the wood chips start floating, and then they float away, and now you just end up with dirt and rivers of wood chips, basically. Again, then we have a maintenance issue. You got to go fix the wood chips, and this happens after every single rain down there. So a good solution here is, again, to do a poured-in-place solution that comes right off the blacktop, utilize a French drain system along the blacktop down to a larger drain to collect a lot of that other water and solve two of those problems at the same time while we're working on that. The equipment down there is relatively good, but they don't have any accessible swings. They have 4 swings down on the front playground, and none of them are accessible. So we definitely want to add an accessible swing, but we also noticed that that's like the older kids, I think, more play on that one, and they want swings. They all ran to the swings. We saw them at recess, and they all came out and they ran onto the swings and jumped on them, and they were almost like who could get there first, So it was clear we have to add more swings at that playground. So here's an opportunity for us to add another piece of equipment, but we have to make a handicap accessible anyway. But this was an opportunity for us to say also, well, we've got all these wood chips all over here. Do we really need to turn all of that into a poured in place, or can that just become grass? And so we started to say, okay, well, we can design this one a little bit different than what it is. And the, I forget what she called the little ball pit there, the Gaga, the Gaga pit. We were discussing how to handle that. Should that have a surface in there, or should it stay stone dust? But we just decided we would just pour like a root out to that, that would just have a root and a turnaround for it next to it, instead of actually making the entire surface of that all poured in place. So the front playground at Daniel Webster, I think, is a good example of how we weren't just saying, let's just do poured in place over all of this stuff, everything that has wood chips, we're going to make it poured in place. It was more like, all right, well, we can design something here that more meets this and also accomplishes the goal of, the drainage, making it more safe, in the winter so it's not icy and wet and everything else. So it was really productive today, and I think we came up with some great solutions, and yeah, we were out there in the heat of the day, so, you know, it's hot on the asphalt too. Those kids are playing on the asphalt. And so any kind of sunshade thing, I think, would be a good idea for us to contemplate going forward with any of these playgrounds, for that reason alone, just the heat coming down. And a great idea too that the teachers had over there at Daniel Webster was taking all those wood chips and reusing them on site. They've got an outdoor classroom kind of area that they use to teach the kids there, and they just kind of wanted to make that. And what's good about that is if we actually make that surface, we can use those wood chips to make that surface accessible if we prepare it right and we maintain that area. That will be an accessible outside playground area with those wood chips if we use it right. But as far as a playground where we're running and falling and skidding and you've got stuff happening all the time, the amount of maintenance that it takes to continually, you know, fix that, make sure that you have the right bounce and everything, and make sure that you're meeting all the standards for safety, for impact safety, fall safety, all of that stuff. The amount of daily maintenance that it would take the facility staff, the amount of material would have to, you know, that it would have to be constantly bringing in, it's just not, it's not feasible, it's not sustainable.
All right. It sounds like out of all this is what I was hoping for, and that is that there's a game plan coming up. We're not just gonna go out and we'll do this and spend $750,000 and then potentially have to revisit this. So this is what I'm looking for, is that everybody's doing their part, come up with a game plan, doing their homework. I think that's the most important part here. And that was my goal in this whole thing anyways, is to have a discussion on it before we really jump into this and regret it, because I think we all know that we've all jumped into these things, not to say the playgrounds, but other projects in town, and then not too long down the road, all of a sudden you have to revisit it because it wasn't well thought out. And that's all a tax dollars, that we worked hard in regards to from our employer, but also to keep the town functioning and all that. And this is, right now, I'm happy in regards to the thought that's been put into this at the moment, in regards to how this is shaping up. So it's a good start. I mean,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I thank you all as well for stepping up and looking at this in the way, the light it is. I do want to, if you don't mind, I do want to roll through the pitches, and maybe you guys can highlight what you, in regards to playground, especially from last year when I took them, in regards to what you're planning to do. I know you already discussed Governor Winslow and that, the playground at the end of the driveway. You're already going to remove that. So if that comes up, you can just outright eliminate that one. So I guess you want to start with Ames Way. So Ames Way was a decent-sized playground there. And so you can go through the other playgrounds there, but that was like a bench. Are we gonna, you know, everything there seems to be, what are the plans in regards to, I know you haven't looked at Ames Way yet, but you guys must have an idea what the condition is. So is there any thoughts in regards to the equipment that's there? And that was the other thing, I think that was brought up between Sean and Mike last year, is signage in regards to warning kids. We're gonna have big signage out there, bold print, in regards to, what was it, the playground equipment that would heat up during the sun? I think there was some other.
Yeah, we have, you have heat warnings, drawstring warnings, fall impact warnings. There's a bunch of signage that is lacking that was on Jody's report, that we still need to get installed on some of these playgrounds.
Yeah. You can keep going through it. So that looks like a decent structure right there. So I mean, do like, any of these playgrounds, I guess, I know it's hard to say just looking at pictures, but all right, here's one right here, like everything, that was one thing at Ames Way that I noticed, that there was a lot of spreading out of everything. So are we looking at trying to condense everything in, bring it in closer for usage, or get rid of it, or what, you know?
Certainly, and, and again, this is something that we'll be discussing tomorrow with the principal and the facilities director at Ames Way. Then this is something that was on my report. This is a pleasant enough, little spot here for little kids. It's got musical equipment, it's got a couple of different things, it's nice, it's in the woods, it provides shade, but it's completely not handicap accessible. You cannot
Yeah.
get a wheelchair down there. It's got roots, it's uneven, the slope is too much. Anybody with mobility issues walking down there would have a problem, and just the curb coming off the asphalt onto that is like a 4-inch drop, so, and is constantly eroded. So these are exactly some of the little installations that have kind of happened over the years that we need to address. And whether this gets moved to a different location or we try to make that accessible, these are some of the conversations that we're going to be having tomorrow with the principal at Ames Way, the facilities director, and figure out what they want to do with that, how valuable that space is for their children, their students, what value they get out of it, whether they want to move it to a different location, or whether they want to take that location and make it accessible. So those are kind of some of the guiding conversations that we have initially when we come upon the site.
I mean, as you say that, Andrew, the whole thing is, and I guess, Sean, this, like, in your engineering department, do you guys have the capability to do like a graphic arts design what the playground should look like? So everybody can look at it. So like, let's say like all this stuff, it's all, in Ames Way, it's all spread out. So you want it to be accessible to all the children to use. So the whole thing is that, like you said, Andrew, all right, what are the ideas? What do we want to do? Do we bring it in closer or what else? But, I mean, I would just look at that if there was a way to do some kind of graphic arts to show what it could look like before we start doing it, and spending money on it, because I'm just thinking, it is nice in the woods and all that, but how much is it gonna cost us in the long run in regards to between the playgrounds here, and I think that you got that one area, and then I think there's another like, small playground in another area. So the whole thing is that just trying to be efficient with the town's money in setting this all up. I think one thing is have a design, especially, I guess, in looking at Ames Way in regards to the way how that school is set up.
So I can, sorry.
Go ahead.
For Ames Way specifically, I think the one playground that's in the back that is on that you showed earlier that had the rust, yeah, this one here, that one I believe is currently supposed to be shut down.
I think so.
That one is shut down. I think it has a
I was gonna say
sign
that.
in front of it. So that one might be on the next list of order to remove once I get there tomorrow, once we discuss it with them and see what they want to actually do with it. And then more than likely what will end up happening is they'll just discontinue the use of that area down in the woods for the time being until we come up with a plan for that. And the priority at Ames Way will be taking the main playground that has half poured-in-place surfacing and making that one fully compliant. Because right now, it's seriously lacking as far as the accessibility aspect of it.
All
Even
right.
though it has some poured-in-place surfacing, it doesn't meet the standards.
Okay, Sean, did you have anything? Especially, I guess, design, like I was asking, design, do we have graphic arts capability in regards to,
I believe, and I don't want to talk out of turn, but I know we can do drawings, and may not be a graphic design.
yeah,
But it'd be a drawing of a plan that we could do ourselves, because I know we do a lot of different plans for different projects, and our engineers do it. And I don't see why we couldn't. And I'm going to ask them, and I'm sure it won't be a problem. But what Andrew was saying, some of these playgrounds that don't get used and have been neglected for a long time, we will be taking out. So I guess, in a sense, we'll be condensing a lot of the playgrounds into functional ones that are used all the time, and they will meet all the standards that Andrew was talking about. So we're ADA compliant, we're safe, and we can hopefully get by with the maintenance. One of the things I wanted to mention earlier was going forward after we do this, because we can't use CPC money for maintenance.
Well, I wanted to ask you about it, because I know you and I discussed this last year in regards to when they closed the playgrounds. I want to say between me, you, and town council Gavin, that you're right, the maintenance, but the whole thing is that if you got to replace swings and all that, you can't use CPC funding for the equipment and everything like that, I believe, right?
No, it depends. If we're going to put all new in, yes. So what I want to suggest going forward is that we devise a maintenance program. I mean, none of you were here years ago, we tried to get funding for maintenance when Tom Reynolds was here. Tom was very passionate about the playgrounds and the fields. I mean, he took a lot of pride in that stuff, and he did a good job. My role was we kind of split the department in half. Jimmy and I took care of all the roads, snow and ice, drainage, and so forth, and personnel. Tom took on a lot of responsibility with the fields and the playgrounds, and a lot of money was spent. And we did approach various committees back in 2016 and 17 to seek funding for the maintenance of these facilities, because they're all new, and going forward, we wanted to make sure we had the money to maintain them. It never happened. And I'm not going to point the finger at anybody, it's just the way things were back in the day, and, times were different, money was always short. But I do think, going forward, we're going to spend this kind of money, like you said, we need to devise a maintenance plan and put it into a capital item, whether it be under the DPW, which I think it probably should be, because somebody has to be responsible. And it gives us the latitude to either use some of our staff if we have to, but it gives us the funding if we have to contract somebody to come in and do the work and help us out and maintain these surfaces and the equipment. We're never going to get back into the spot we're in right now. That's what we all want to try to avoid, I think. We don't want to be in this predicament again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to look at the CPC rules and all that, because when I researched last year, you can get replacement swings through it and
There's some latitude.
replace other equipment. I do agree, and I believe with you in regards to the maintenance, like if we had to put mulch down and all that, that wouldn't count. But in regards to needing swings replaced, or I think
Maintaining the
equipment and all
surfaces.
that, I think you can go through CPC to get that funding to do all that stuff.
I believe you're correct in the sense that if we use it for ADA compliance, we can. And
Well, I think it covers recreational, which I think is where you can
I
use.
think Eric's actually right.
Yep.
It's new installations or new equipment we can use.
Well,
It's
even-
It's just repairs of existing equipment.
No, you
that
can
we
use it
can't
for the
use
the repairs. You can. If you need a new swing if you need a new
A
swing.
new swing,
For,
a new installation, and that,
Not an installation,
of a swing. Installation of a swing, taking the chains off,
the old one.
the old chains
Yeah.
off and installing a new swing.
Yeah.
Okay? That installation of that swing can be covered under CPC funds.
think so,
But if you were going to repair the chain on it, it is not, okay?
Yeah, yes, I would, yeah.
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
distinction I was
yeah.
trying to make, yes.
Or if you had to, like we had to do this past fall, or summer, actually, we had to do some welding on some of the equipment to make it safe. That wouldn't cover it.
Or painting.
Painting.
No, I get that.
I know what you're saying, and you're right.
I'm just looking at, like a swing or whatever
Yeah.
else like that, yeah.
I think we're all on the same page. We just don't want to be in this position again. I think we need to put a maintenance plan in place, starting in the fall, so we don't run into this problem
Well,
again.
I mean, my look at it, Sean, would be that once you start to go forward with whatever you're doing on whatever playgrounds, you should probably have a maintenance plan
We've already started.
already in place for that playground, because you already know what you're doing and everything. When you get done, now you get the overall picture. My look at it is that, all right, now we know what we're looking at here. What is the maintenance plan going to be going forward for this? Because I imagine each playground is going to require its own different maintenance plan. I just wouldn't look at that. Everything's going to be a carbon copy of each other, I would imagine.
I'm thinking of a blanket maintenance plan, so we had the funding to do what we need to do on any one of the playgrounds we have in town. I think that's the best way to go. And, you know, it's a one-shot deal. You go to town meeting and you vote on a capital item, that money's in place under the budget of the DPW, similar to what we do with the fields. And we can utilize those funds to maintain the playgrounds. It's never been done before, and I agree that we're gonna spend an awful lot of money, and I don't want it to fall back in the same spot it was before.
Right, I would agree with that. Can you go South River? So South River was an interesting one. I think we all know, I mean, it's got a path that ends way before the playground, I think. This one, I guess, this is a massive playground. Are you looking to PIP all this at some point? If you're gonna go that route?
I am leaning towards that route, but again, tomorrow when we go look at it,
That's Governor Winslow, or that's not South River School.
but, you know,
That's Daniel Webster.
it is a good-sized playground.
Yes, that is
There's no
Daniel
doubt about
Webster.
it. And we had to pull some equipment out of there that was faulty. The playground behind the school where the Alamo is, that's coming out. That's never used much, and it's deplorable condition. We want to focus all our energy on the main playground going forward.
You can roll through those ones, IT.
Actually,
You wanna
go right
stop?
back to that, right there. Nope, one more back. To the one with the school in the background, right. So if you look here, the doors that are coming out of the school, they come out to a step down and then a platform, and then there's 2 more steps.
Yeah.
So the only way for anybody to get accessible access from here in a wheelchair is to go out the front of the school and come
Okay.
all the way around. So another thing that we need to do here is we need to take that landing, knock it out, build an actual landing that comes flat out from that door with a ramp going down to the left and stairs coming out forward. That way somebody can come out, go down that ramp, and then to the left of here is where that outside classroom that they utilize is. So they're gonna take all these wood chips, bring them over to the left where the trees are, put them in there, but we need to get a ramp built there so that we have access onto this side of the school. Currently, everybody that has needs is on the other end of the school, but next year and the years coming forward, they're gonna be moving into these classrooms on this end of the school, so it's important that that gets done pretty soon.
I gotcha. All right.
Can I show you
Yeah,
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we have this, I'm gonna get up and show you.
Oh, you want to point something? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have a deep voice, I think everybody can hear me. So what Andrew was talking about with the drainage concerns is right along here. You'll see where it's all scoured down here. There is a major drainage issue, so our engineers and myself and Andrew decided it would be a good idea to put like a French drain in along the edge of the pavement to catch the water, and we're gonna put some basins or flow diffusers down in the end here that drain the water into the ground and gets rid of all the water from the parking lot coming this way and coming this way, so we don't have these problems again. But I wanted to point that out when you had that picture up there.
All right, thank you. You can roll through it. Anything, like some of these,
So you can see in the back there where the wood chips go all the way to the fence.
Yep.
So those are some of the areas that we were saying, well, we could either consolidate that, move it back, and turn that into grass. And so it's not just poured in place all the way to that fence, But then the other thing was we then also saw how many kids came running out for the swings and thought, well, maybe we put swings in those areas too, so.
yeah, I mean, there was one reason I took this picture, that structure right there, I think the chain broke off. I think there was another reason why you guys closed, I mean, do we know if that's been fixed? It looked like a simple fix to me in regards to that matter.
I believe it was, and that was, the one next to it was also the one that needed to be welded.
Oh, that one needed to be welded in? All right, you can roll through the other one? Yeah, I think you get the picture that, oh, yeah, and here's one right here, Sean, if you can see, do you see the spike
Yep, that was cut out.
that was cut out?
Yep, we took it
Okay.
out.
Next one,
So if I may, what was I gonna say? Getting old.
you can go to the next one. I think, yeah, that was just a signage, because there was discussion about that. And then, like you see along the roadway there.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So also,
Okay, now here's, hold on a second, that's, if you want to still talk about Daniel Webster, go ahead.
no, I want to talk about the playgrounds in general. When Andrew and I were inspecting today, if we noticed equipment that had to be taken out and replaced,
Yeah.
we wanted to do that before we resurfaced. So each playground we go to, if we see something that's deficient and we can't fix it, we're going to replace it. And we're also going to add some ADA compliant toys, or whatever you want to call them, for the other kids too. So that would be done, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we want to tackle one playground at a time. Whatever equipment needs to be replaced, we're going to replace it or fix it, do the resurfacing, and then we're on to the next. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to do one at a time, and then, absolutely.
We're going to scope them all out and get the price on everything, so we're all set, but we're going to tackle one at a time and just move to the next.
I mean, is the DPW going to be the one that's going to be taking out and installing any potential equipment that you may change out and replace, or?
We can
hire
take,
somebody-
we can take it out.
Yep,
I have no problem taking out the playgrounds or the equipment that has to be taken out. We've already done it. We are not certified to install it.
okay,
So that would fall under a contractor that's licensed to do so.
okay,
And that would be part of the bid, part of the bid package.
okay. You can roll through the next one. This is South River, obviously. We're all aware, I imagine most people are aware of this. And I imagine this is going to be one of those playgrounds that you guys are going to have to, we'll be visiting and come up with a plan, but, you know, there was an attempt of a path here. Is that something you're going to still use? You're going to rework
And that's,
anything?
that is totally not compliant.
Okay,
Yeah. That's not at all okay. So
Yeah.
it's got to come out and get fixed, yeah.
so you're going to, the entire concrete pathway is going to get dug out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or it could be fixed, you could add on to it, I guess, but I would probably just take it out and redesign the entire playground, quite honestly.
All right.
'Cause I think South River School is a prime candidate for a complete redesign. Because there's so much, it's spread out, it has no swings currently,
And it's used a lot in the summer as well. am I
it's used a
correct?
lot.
With programs?
You know, and I think, and it's a very central playground. It's got tons of parking, you know, so I think that that's one that we want to make sure that we design correctly, spend some time getting it right and making sure that we do it correctly. I mean, I don't think that all the equipment has to be completely ripped out, but,
Right.
you know, we need to do like an actual design, make sure that we have, you know, a route down there with ramps to you know, with the correct slope and
Right.
everything to get down there. And you know, get rid of that slide situation and everything else, you know, like we've got, there's a bit of work to do there. But and it's everything's kind of really spread out, you know, so.
Well, that's why-
You have an opportunity to design something there that might, you know, might use different surfaces or maybe even consolidate it and bring it in, or add some more equipment, you know, as part of another CPC request or
But-
something like that.
Well, yeah, because that goes back to my previous question in regards to graphic arts, because this is a massive playground and everything's spread out and it needs to be working. So I think when I visited last year, I don't think I saw too many deficiencies in regards to the equipment itself.
We pulled the bad ones out.
You did?
Yep.
Last year or?
Last.
Okay, so the only thing is that it looks all good, but it looks like it needs to be reworked, I guess.
Oh, it does.
And so the whole thing is that what I'm looking at is like if you have the ability to take all those pieces and place them on a graphic arts thing,
So let's be
show
clear.
everybody and see how it's gonna work and then the long run.
Let's be clear. So last year, when we took this on, this was to get the playgrounds open for the kids, for the school year. And we finished like the day before getting it done. It was a big undertaking. And I have to credit my staff for stepping up to the plate and taking it on, because it was an awful lot of work outside what we already got to do. Going forward, when we addressed or realized what kind of deficiencies and problems we had, I went for this 750 to try and do the resurfacing, okay? Now, I also have another pocket of money that we've had left over from previous years that you gave me the stats on, that we can use for equipment. So I think we're in a very, very good position moving forward to replace some of the equipment that needs to be replaced, fix some of the equipment that has to be fixed, and get the resurfacing done, so by school year, even over the summer as we go along, these kids are gonna have a place to go. And I think the parents will be happy with that, to get them out of the house. So that's our plan going forward.
I mean, I would say you're pretty much describing all the playgrounds, but focus on South River, which I'd be under the impression that you haven't, Andrew, and you haven't visited yet, so you can't really say, but like I said, it's pretty spread out. And just looking at, I'm
Yep.
sure you want to change it up, so.
Yes, I think it's gonna be brought in a little bit and condensed. I
Yeah.
think it's way too big. I mean, you could have a football game down there.
Easily, yes.
And I think you're gonna find that out with a lot of the playgrounds, that we're gonna have to restructure them a little bit, and we have the technology to design and bring them into a spot where it's conducive for all of us.
No, and that's the whole thing, is that I'm appreciative of what you two are doing, going to each one and laying it all out in regards to what you need to do, because it's one thing that is why I wanted a discussion on this. I just didn't want to go out and do, one, I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on what kind of surfacing with people, it would work, whether it be full PIP or a pathway with a blend of engineered wood fibers, but also the way the playgrounds are all set up, not just to pour PIP down, and then all of a sudden say, yeah, we should have restructured the whole playground, and by that time, it was too, well, I mean, you could always dig it up, but nobody, we lay that PIP down, I don't think anybody's going to be happy if you dug it up afterwards. So that's what I'm saying, is that I'm glad everybody's paying attention and doing the due diligence and saying, yeah, hey, look, this is what we should do, and then moving forward, and then we'll do something for the surface afterwards, right?
So, yeah, one of the things I mentioned at the last meeting was, no matter what decision you and I, or the rest of the board, or Andrew make, not everybody's gonna be happy. We gotta do the best we can with what we have that's gonna make it work for everybody.
No, you know something, Sean? I would agree with you that not everybody's going to be happy. That's why.
Well, look at the Bullnose project, for instance. No matter what you do down there, not everybody's gonna be happy.
Right.
We did what we thought was gonna be the best solution.
So the whole thing is that not everybody's going to be happy is a very good possibility. But the whole thing is that I think if people see the effort being put in
I agree with you.
the thought, in the process of it all, I think they'd be more than happy just to see that going on, what is going on right now. And that was the way I look at it, that was my goal before we just jumped into this, and that's what I'm appreciative of right now, is that there is being time and thought being put into this and saying, all right, before we go full bore on just laying down whatever ground service we are, all right, we do have to make improvements before we do that.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
You can roll through, it's a signage, it's all South River right now. Like I said, a lot of those structures seem like they're in great shape.
Excuse me, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
you want to comment on this at
I
this
do,
moment? Oh, okay.
if you don't mind.
Hold on, I'd see. Yes,
So I know that there was a lot of thought about what you just said, that we got the funding at town meeting and the playgrounds were just going to have rubber poured on them, and that was the end of it. That was never the plan. So, the DPW does a lot of work, every department does, but they're making plans, like, going forward. So the town meeting funds were for the surface.
Right.
But it was never the plan to just pour the surface and forget it. That was never going to happen. But, you can't get up at town meeting, Sean and Andrew aren't going to get up at town meeting, and then give this whole scenario of what's going to happen going forward with the playgrounds. So it was just a matter of getting the funding for the surface, but that was never the whole story. So there was just, you know, a lot of times people don't know what's going on kind of behind the scenes with plans.
No, I get that.
They have
the whole thing is-
legitimate concerns,
No,
but,
absolutely, but the whole thing is
That's not
that you
how
had
things
one
were done.
resident that just wanted, like watching the last meeting, they just wanted Sean to just pull this down and be done with it.
so she, you know, people are frustrated understandably, because it, you know, there was a lot of years where nothing was done, and I understand their frustration. But I guess maybe people not going to like all the playgrounds, maybe not knowing everything or having an idea of everything that was needing to be done would potentially have that idea of just put the floors, the surface in. But it was never going to be done that way. They always knew what needed to be fixed, but now they're getting into the like finer points of it.
Yes.
So, okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make that point.
No, I appreciate it, Diane.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can go with Roland. I think we're still in South River. Oh, yeah, you all done with that?
Is that a zip cord?
Yes.
Wow.
Can I'd just like to refer
Oh,
to,
you need to speak? Oh, go ahead.
Marcy Strazer, Concanon. So if you can go back to the slide where there was a cone rope structure just to the right of that one. I was just down there today, and those two structures were actually closed off, that one.
Which one? Oh, that one?
Do you know what happened to that one? I was just down there today, there's caution tape all over this one.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but it was, that was broken recently,
Okay,
so just close, and Andrew and Sean haven't even seen that yet, but we call it the spider web
okay,
apparatus that just broke.
okay. I was just wondering how it sounded.
The caution tape is very new, put up by the custodians,
Yeah, so I guess in regards to
like this.
is need, I don't know what's broken on, but maybe we need to keep extra parts around in case there's
I don't
is
even
it
know
screws
what
or
it
anything? Right, you know, so,
That would be part of the maintenance plan to have extra parts.
yeah. Yeah,
We've
whether
never
it's
done that in the
screws and all
past.
that,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. No, it's, I'm with you on that. How about Tower Ave? Tower Ave is another big one.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think you're gonna move the playground and just do something new. What, is that?
No, not necessarily. We want to do the same inspection and the same work at that playground as well, but there's also a field to the left that Diane and I have talked to some residents, and one of them's right here, Brian. We want to get some opinions on the residents that live up there, what they want to do with that area. We've heard wiffle ball, we've heard different ideas, and that's a separate project on its own, what to do with the field to the left. But that playground is going to be treated the same way as everybody else, as the schools. Resurfacing, equipment, new equipment if needed, ADA compliance, right down the line.
Okay. Do Governor Winslow, oh, actually, no, Governor Winslow, you put Governor Winslow up, please? So, this is the one you're gonna yank out, this one condemned.
Correct.
That's correct.
You can roll through this one. All right, this is the one with the port in place on it. So, when you guys were discussing earlier, are you just resurfacing that spot, or are you, like, taking it up and then putting new stuff down? How's that all gonna work?
What I would like to do is when we select a contractor to do this work, I want to get their opinion on how we would approach this, whether it needs to be resurfaced, whether you can put what they call an overlay on top of it, or exactly what to do. Speaking with Matt, my engineer that actually designed these things, he said it's not a hard fix. We just got to decide which way we want to go. And he wants to do a little more research on it, and look at it some more, and come up with an idea and a plan.
Going back to what you guys discussed in regards to the shade structure, is that gonna be something attached to equipment, or you're gonna have to put a hole in the ground and put some kind of umbrella on it?
Yeah, generally you'd have to install a post that the,
So if you were thinking of that, especially if you're going to resurface this in some form or way, you want to get all that done before you,
no, I would do that outside of the.
Outside the perimeter.
Of whatever we're going to be pouring.
oh, really?
Yeah.
The posts would be located outside the perimeter of that, and then the shade would be held in between covering.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so,
It wouldn't I think we would try to plan it so that it wouldn't interfere with whatever surfacing we're putting down.
okay, I get what you're saying, all right.
And then, in the future, it can always be modified, you know?
Governor Winslow, Martinson, you can go to the Martinson? I think we all know what Library Plaza looks like. I mean, it's another one that needs to, is that falling to you guys, or is that falling to rec? I think it falls under rec, the
I think
Library
it
Plaza,
does.
right?
Yeah, I don't think we are responsible for that, but we're willing to help.
Very good. All right, so Martinson, when I visited last year, the one thing I noticed with Martinson is that the equipment they had there, I forget the name of the company they used, but one thing I noticed in regards to the equipment that was picked up there with the company, especially the structures that you can climb on, was that if there was ever a part that was broken, it looked like it was an easy change. Instead of having it all welded, it seemed like it was like, so the only thing the committee that picked this equipment out, in my opinion, did a phenomenal job in regards to choosing equipment that looked like it was a quality, but also it was easily replaceable if something broke. So when you guys get a chance to visit this, if you haven't, if you already don't know, you should look at it because it was interesting in regards to how the structure was built. So that structure right there, it seemed like it was pretty easy to replace anything that was broken on it, if anything came apart. But there's another one, there's a massive playground. Is that any thoughts in regards to you, Sean, reworking that and condensing it down, or?
I would like to take a really good look at it with Andrew first before I.
Yeah, before you comment,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So,
I mean, that's fairly new.
it is.
2017?
Do you have a comment there, sir?
Well, I did about 3 minutes ago.
No, I'm sorry, I was trying to get through all
Fleeting
this.
thoughts, but, you know, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I appreciate what you guys are doing, inspecting it, and, you know, revising your plan, if you will. But, you know, against my better judgment, I went on TV last year, and I spoke to each and every one of you guys, and spoke my concerns regarding Ms. Reel's advisement moving forward on the risk assessments for all these playgrounds. And yet nothing's been taken care of. ADA compliance, I'm not sure how it works, Mr. Moran, but, you know, the legality of it, how much time frame do we have to actually get these things done according to plan? And from my standpoint, as a citizen and having a daughter at Governor Winslow, I think Governor Winslow is in great shape. I think if there's other kids struggling in other areas of town that aren't, you know, upkeep isn't up to standard, then I think we need to focus on that first. You know, as far as Tower Ave's concerned, you know, the risk assessment there is the structure. I said that as well last year, that the structure is going to fall on a family. I also said it against, you know, one of the other last meetings that I spoke at. But I just feel like we're doing this redundant process of going over these risk assessments when the money's already in play and no one's doing anything to actually plan the work to work the plan. I know you guys are putting out bids, Sean. I'm not trying to put you on blast here. I do understand there is a process to this, but the process needs to go a little bit faster for our children. And I think that needs to be, you know, goes without being said, but apparently I have to stand up here and say it for, you know, all intent purposes, but I think it's important. And I also think that, you know, we have resources here in town that are willing to help on a volunteer basis that would be more than willing to, you know, take out that pad for you guys so you could put in a new, you know, I'm just saying there's other options that could help with the line item that you guys are trying to put forth with for the maintenance situation. And, you know, I agree that there hasn't been much maintenance done on certain areas of town, but there's got to be a price point on each one of these. Your assessment today, I'm sure was great. But you guys didn't come here with a plan moving forward or a price point on a budget, financially speaking. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us having the same conversation that we just had on Monday. That's where it leaves us. So my time is important. Right now, I'm taking that time away from my daughter, and, I expect better, and I expect things to get done accordingly. I work in these fields as well. I'm in the construction field. I know how things work. We made an early assessment on Monday together within 2 seconds. You guys didn't come here with a plan or a price point on each of the pour-in place for the 2 schools that you guys were with. You just came up with a drainage plan. To me, that's unacceptable. So I hope you guys can do better, and I hope you can understand my frustration as a father and as a construction worker, that things can be done a lot faster than this. So that's my point tonight. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. We've gone through pretty much, I think, what I wanted to talk about in regards to the whole situation. Steve, do you have anything you want to add in on regards to it? Go back.
Please, thank you, yeah. With respect to the poured-in-place rubber surface, it sounds like in terms of the most ADA-compliant options, that would be at the top of the list. The maintenance is lower, which is going to be a big factor, because in terms of wood chips, the cost of replenishment and replacement can be pretty high on an annual basis. And the other issue, too, is it's an active recreational field, so if you do have an ADA-compliant surface like stone dust around the perimeter or through the park, the wood chips just get kicked over it and cover it, and that becomes an ADA accessibility issue too. So if you don't have the hard numbers just yet, I mean, do you have a ballpark for the difference in maintenance costs between replenishing and replacing wood chips on a regular basis versus having this poured in place rubber surface for X number of years or however long it'll last for?
So what we have so far is, I've gotten prices anyways between $8 and $16 a square foot to install the poured in place. The last I looked, on the invoices I looked at the other day, we were spending $3,000 a load for the mulch. It's not easy to get.
Yeah.
Just to touch on Brian's points, everybody wants to move this forward, but everybody at that table and sitting here knows that we have to follow the procurement process. I'm not a big fan of it. It stalls things down, but we have to follow the rules and the regulations. That's what a lot of the holdup is. What we did today was inspections and to see what we had to do and get a cost idea. I don't have a cost idea today. We just started doing the inspections today. I have talked to the school officials, and we're hoping to get things going over the summer so we can get things done and ready for school. Nothing's going to happen overnight. We had to secure the funding first because I had $0 to work with to do these things. I've been holding on to some money for the equipment that we needed to do. We're moving forward. We're moving as fast as we can as the law is going to allow us. We're not going to do anything that's going to put us all in jeopardy as far as breaking the rules and regulations of procurement, so we got to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. And I know that some folks have raised concerns about the toxicity levels with the PIP, but I know that in terms of looking at that, what state has stricter laws than California. I mean, every time you go to buy a suitcase, you see the Prop 65 warning label, and you think you're going to get cancer if you buy anything with that on there. So in terms of peace of mind for that getting a hard look, I know the Integrated Waste Management Board in California looked at PIP surfacing as an option, and they found the carcinogen levels to be lower than 1 part per million, which is generally accepted as a safe level to be below, and it was far below that. So I think in context, that's helpful to know about that. And then as well, that it goes through a sieve process as well, right? It's a recycled rubber material. It goes down a conveyor belt. It goes through magnets and vacuums and inspected to make sure that anything that could be toxic in there that's made of metal is caught and removed through that sieve process. So I do think there are protocols in place and industry standards to make sure that that risk is minimized and reduced. And again, just for the lower maintenance cost, it seems to be much better from a ADA compliance standpoint. I mean, I can see why you guys are recommending that, why that would be the best surface to move forward with. And then, so I think that addresses the safety concern too. And then on top of all that, it seems to check all the boxes. And then there's the nice aesthetic benefit too, where there's all these different design options that kids can pick out for what they want the surface and the colors to look like. And things of that nature. And you can pick a color that's not as heat retentive, or you can do shade shelters like you were discussing to kind of minimize the concerns with that heat of the surface for the PIP. So I do think that recommendation, and now that's one of the goals you guys are looking to walk away from with the public hearing discussion you had last week, which was what service do parents, residents want to move forward with, and that does seem to be the best option. Again, it's not perfect, but it seems to be the best one available. Let's see. Beyond that, I wanted to ask you guys about how we're looking in terms of potential timetables. I know you did inspections today, and you touched on this too, Sean, right? There's a bidding process, there's a procurement process to make sure that you're following all these ethical and regulatory guidelines, right? So there's no backroom deals and stuff like that. So once you're done with the inspections and you have your assessments in place, what kind of timetable are we looking at for going out to bid in the procurement process, maybe starting construction on some of these playgrounds, and then a rough timetable for what we are looking at for a completion point?
We're looking to go out to bid right after the 4th of July. And I think we can achieve that, having the staff that we have. During the inspections, the engineers were taking notes and measurements of different things and getting a bit of, because there's a lot involved to make it right. I think the 5 playgrounds that Andrew picked off the top, we hope to have done by beginning of school year, one at a time. At the same time, we're going to be working on Tower Ave, and I think there's another playground I was looking at too, to get done around the same time frame. It's going to be a task, but I think if we can all agree to a plan, we'll move forward. And again, it's not going to make everybody happy, but I think it's the best solution to get this up and running and get it done.
Yeah. And one piece I think that's important too with the PIP surface is that the risk of someone ingesting something is lower, like a 3-year-old, because it's a solid surface. There's not any broken pieces that are coming off that you might run the risk with other surface materials. So the fact that it is a solid surface, those toxicity concerns are reduced in part, which I think is important.
As long as we maintain it,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
will peel if you don't keep an eye on it and maintain it.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and we've talked about that before too, where it's been difficult to keep up with the maintenance costs, right? Because we've talked before about Proposition 2.5 and how does that keep pace with inflation costs that are through the roof for all sorts of parts and equipment and material, and how it's not only a challenge in terms of keeping up with maintenance costs for our community, but all communities. So I didn't know if you want to touch on the history of that a little bit, or just doing the best you can trying to keep pace.
I would love to talk about the lawnmower that was brought up at town meeting, because I really didn't explain it properly, because I didn't have an answer for it. But I will tell you this, the lawnmower I'm trying to replace, I bought 6 years ago. It cost $85,000 to buy that lawnmower. We tried to put it on capital a couple of years ago. It was $180. Now it's $210, and that's the lowest price we got. I can't explain why it costs that much. I'm embarrassed to even ask for the money, because it doesn't make any sense. But we're finding this with parts for the vehicles to repair them, and Jimmy will back me up on this, to buy a dump truck, you're talking $385,000.
Yeah.
And it takes 3 years to arrive. Pickup trucks were a year and a half out. I can't explain why we're in the position we're in, but things have definitely changed since COVID,
Yeah.
you know? So we've rallied together and tried to maintain and keep these vehicles going longer, and we're trying to do the same thing with all the equipment we have. Thank God we have such a good mechanic staff to keep everything on the road, because otherwise we'd be in a dire situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a huge challenge just trying to keep up. And you guys are doing the best that you can. And it is kind of crazy, just the inflation point that a lot of different
It's
products,
insane.
and then just the lag time too is brutal. So yeah, I think it would be good to have just a dedicated maintenance fund that we put in a lockbox every single year, because that's the other problem too, is as your revenues fluctuate in an economic downturn, that affects the funds that you have available. So I mean, in terms of developing a policy moving forward in a budget, I think it would be great to have a maintenance lockbox for the town so that we don't fall behind on things and we can weather economic downturns and not fall behind and end up paying a bigger price down the road for a replacement when we could have done a preventive, repair.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And then one last thing on, I think Diane's suggestion that we create a playground committee. And I think whether it's a new committee or an existing one or whatever we call it, I do think it makes sense to have a lot of set of eyeballs on it and to have people who are very active and engaged to stay on top of these issues. So I think it makes sense, but one thing I was thinking about is we have a lot of existing committees in town that maybe could have a little bit more put on their plate and have some life breathed into them, where maybe they could incorporate this into their scope of their work. So, for example, right, we have the Recreation Commission, but a lot of folks don't realize that they're mostly responsible for programming, right? And I think Craig mentioned on the discussion last week that, it's just him and one or two other part-time staff members. So, we have so many people in this room tonight that I think they would breathe a lot of life into that, and it would be great to have them also keep an eye on the playgrounds and maybe some other fields in town as well. And given that Craig is so plugged in on the programming and the schedules, he would be aware of the wear and tear that's going on different playgrounds around town and might have a kind of a preventive eye for what should be at the top of the priority list.
I agree. It would be nice to have people that want to get involved. For instance, these ladies here, Brian in the back, he's been asking many a times. As a matter of fact, Brian will send me pictures of things that he finds that are broken and need to be looked at. So I applaud that, and I appreciate that. Because I'll take Andrew and I, for instance, we are spread thin. We have a lot of things going on in town that we need to address, but we want to take this on and get it done the right way and get it where it should be.
Yeah. No, I appreciate all the work you guys have put in. We're all very frustrated, but unfortunately, we can't go back in time and fix what happened. So you're dealing with the problem as it exists in front of us right now as best you can. So I'm glad to know, right, that we have a surface in mind that we want to move forward with that seems to be the best fit of the options available, and that you guys have a timetable to get some of those initial playgrounds addressed and ready to open again before the school year, and that we can kind of continue this communication and keep this great group of volunteers together to make sure this doesn't happen again, that we have a maintenance plan. The old adage, right, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so that we can stay ahead of things and do an oil change now instead of replacing the engine in 5 years when it craps the bed. So I know that you guys have been dealing with a lot, and there's a lot of frustration, rightfully so, but thanks for all the work that you're putting in trying to pull everyone together from so many different departments. It's not easy. And just my last comment is, if you guys are selling those T-shirts, I'd love to buy one. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Steve, I think he hit on something, and I think what we could do in regards to committees already done is maybe all of us could discuss maybe the ADA committee, making them the ADA playground committee. Something like that. And I think the both would go hand in hand pretty well together in regards, especially with the situation we see here right now, so.
Yeah, like instead of maybe multiple piecemeal committees that don't have a lot that bring them together regularly, right? If you're on a committee, or maybe that what's on your plate, you only meet every 1, 2, or 3 months, it doesn't become a habit or routine to get together. But if there's more on your plate and you have a reason to get together, maybe twice a month or more regularly, you're going to be more engaged and active. So maybe if we had a committee that was dealing with recreation, fields or playgrounds and ADA issues, all with a laser focus working together, I mean, that could help prevent a lot of things from falling through the cracks, not just the playgrounds. But it's something to explore and think about.
No,
for sure.
absolutely, explore everything and throw everything on the table and see where it gets you, absolutely. Mind
Mr.
if I-
Chairman, if I may, about the committee.
Yep.
Yeah, so were you suggesting that the ADA committee and the playground committee be one committee?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying? I don't think that's appropriate. The playgrounds have much more than just ADA requirements. I think that it needs
I know, it would
a
have to be discussed.
specific
It would have to be
committee for
discussed with the
playgrounds.
people that are currently on the ADA if they wanted to take upon it.
Right, I don't think that the ADA committee even meets, actually.
We have a couple of new members that seem pretty active that maybe they would like to take it up and take on.
Oh, you have new, I didn't realize you had
Yeah,
new
we
members.
disappointed on Monday night. There's two
Right.
members that seemed like they pretty want to be pretty involved, so it's something that we could throw at them and see if they want to take on another special assignment. If they don't, then we can look at just the playground committee as itself, but
Right.
why not throw it out there? I mean, what we're going through right now in regards to the ADA issues at the playgrounds, I think it's a perfect meld of it between a playground committee and an ADA in one component.
Right, I'm not in favor of that. I don't think it's a good idea.
All right, well,
With all due respect, I think the playgrounds need their own focus. And there's plenty of parents who want to be involved and have good ideas and are asking for this.
I get that.
So-
Like I said, throw everything on the table. Let's see where it gets us.
Right. Okay.
Let's not pigeonhole ourselves into one thing. Let's see what works for everything.
Okay.
Did you want to hear from Marcy, or do you want to go ahead and have?
That's your
conversation?
choice.
I'm asking you.
No, you're the chair.
I'm asking you.
If I want to talk?
Yeah, well, I'm asking Marty to say something. I can let her or.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right.
Thank you. Marcy Strazer, Concanon. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Sean and Andrew and everyone just working so hard on this. I know, I was thinking the last time we met, I think Andrew estimated an offer to go to the playgrounds at the end of the school year, and the superintendent said, how about tomorrow? So I think it's remarkable that you guys have taken action this week and taken this on. I think it's moving in a really good direction. I think the maintenance plan is an excellent idea. I think the playground committee is an excellent idea. I love to hear a lot of your ideas, and starting at Daniel Webster is really key too. Selectman Darcy, I appreciate your comments and what you found from the state of California. I've looked into some of those things as well, and I have a lot of concerns about the toxicity and the excessive heat of poured-in-place rubber. And I think your comments related to the safety comes to the surface of which it should, because that's the surface, but I think we need to look at what happens at the subsurface, because the reality is 3 out of our 4, maybe 3.5 out of the 4 have currently exposed subsurface materials, and they are all shredded tires, as we know, are very, very toxic. So if none of them were exposed, I'd say that's okay. Hey, this is a decent surface, but the fact is they're all exposed, and yes, they have been neglected, as Sean said, and it's good that they're going to be dealt with soon. But the fact is that does break down. So it also, I'd like to address one thing, that one of the proposed benefits of poured-in-place rubber is this maintenance-free concept, which is when I designed the Martinson playground, I was told to develop a maintenance-free playground, which is virtually impossible. There's 400 people playing on that playground every day. You've got to make it as durable as possible, choose the right equipment, the right design, that makes it durable and accessible and safe. In any case, they all clearly need maintenance. And then I think we said, well, why are these breaking down? Oh, because they haven't been maintained. So the thing that's really stunning is to remember that Amesway and South River schools are only a 6-year-old playground. And their poured-in-place rubber at South River broke down within a year or two. It is a complete mess, in the words of Jody Reel. In the case of Amesway, and it was noted that there's a big dip there, so I think there's questionable issues with how that was installed. However, it's not failing, it's not breaking apart. I personally think that might due to the symmetry with the wood chips too. I measured the temperatures, and there's also a balanced temperature issue there. So that's what's interesting, and I like this idea of using more mixed materials. I did take temperature readings last week on the hottest day that we've had so far. It was 86 degrees on Thursday, and the poured-in-place rubber, and I've read reports, and I thought, that's insane. How could this poured-in-place rubber be so hot? And then I have an infrared temperature reader, and I went out to the 3 or 4 playgrounds, and I measured the poured-in-place rubber, and it was excessively hotter than even the blacktop. And on average, it rated at 156 degrees, and the blacktop on average was 129, and the wood chips were 129. So it is excessively hot. They just built a new playground in Hingham, and those consultants had a community meeting, and they admitted too, it's at least 15 degrees hotter. So we know that. So that's just one other aspect. I am happy that these things are being addressed. I'm not happy that there's poured-in-place rubber. I think there's significant concerns. I think this product has broken down. It keeps breaking down sooner than we expected to, including at the community track. The same thing happened. I understand we need to, and we should be meeting a higher degree of accessibility and ADA. And I think it's just a balance of how we can get that done. But I like the fact that we're thinking outside the box, and we have a lot of different comments coming in, and DPW is taking into consideration those ideas.
Mr. Katz, one question. In your research, is there another surface that you thought would be appealing to pursue?
I mean, the only other one is cork, but I'm not convinced on that. It's a new surfacing. It's not proven to be really durable. You know, I know the black mats, I've done a lot of research on those. I've talked to U.S. Playground Surfacing. I know they are actually ADA and AAB, Architectural Access Board, rated. I know there may be difficulty for wheelchairs getting over there, so I agree with that. The other idea I proposed in a few memos was this idea of really, as much as possible, trying to look at additional materials such as creating paved access paths or the perimeter paths, like Andrew pointed out we need. And I think there's a lot of places that you could put a paved path, and the paved paths would last up to 40 years. I mean, the poured-in-place rubber, you're looking at maybe 10 to 15. So I think at the best, like minimizing where you put the poured-in-place rubber, or you build new play areas and dedicate those with the poured-in-place rubber and with the pathways, I think is a great option personally, and along with the wood chips. And every time I've been to Ames Way, probably 3 times in the last few weeks, I'm kind of amazed that there's actually, and this is right after the school day, there's actually very few wood chips on the rubber parts, and that rubber is actually intact. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, was it, so do you guys, Sean, do you have anything in regards to what Marcy made there in regards to her comments in regards to the temperature and the breakdown of the material over time and,
There's no doubt that the material is going to break down if it's not maintained. We looked at Governor Winslow today, and I was told that was done in 2016. So you're looking at, what, 9 years? No maintenance, and there was some patches that it needed replaced. I will tell you, I didn't have a thermometer, but I put my hand on the surface, which is a green surface, and I didn't feel any heat. I'm not an expert, but that was one of the things I looked at, and you did too, and I didn't find it to be very hot. Again, we need to come up with a solution ASAP to get the ball rolling, and I'm going to hang my hat on the PIP, and this is the way we need to go. Everybody has different ideas, but I think we need to move forward.
Trish, do you have anything to ask? Yeah, you want to go? All right. Your name and address, please?
Sure. My name is Liz Izza. My address is 40 Chandler. This is actually one of my first times attending town meeting. I would love to say I'm impressed. I'm confused, that's for sure. So I understand that we're talking about resurfacing and being ADA compliant and talking about maintenance. My understanding, and from the research I've done and the professionals I've talked to, is that wood chips are not ADA compliant. Is that correct? Yes or no? No, I'm looking at you, Mr. Kelly.
I couldn't answer that.
Okay. So, go ahead.
They would not be.
Okay. So
Andrew, what, are they ADA compliant, or what's this?
Engineered wood fiber, if it is installed correctly and maintained, can be an accessible surface. I don't think it's appropriate for play surfaces, as it's movable, for all the reasons I said, the water, kicking,
But it can be,
running,
but it
all
can
that
be,
stuff.
it can't fall into the category of
It can be
ADA.
used, just like I said, with that outdoor classroom, in a situation like that, where they're going to be sitting down and learning and just, and not active.
I get all that.
I think that's that
So it can't-
there
it-
are things where it can be used, but I don't think it's appropriate for what we want.
All right, so I guess let's put it this way. Is it a banned component?
It easily becomes non-compliant. That's the thing. It easily becomes non-compliant
But is it-
with a couple of kicks.
there we go.
Is it non-compliant?
So I'm
as a-
hearing it is
Hold on a
non-compliant.
second. So is it,
I'm hearing it's non-compliant.
all right, you're
If it
hearing, I'm
could
trying to get an
fix,
answer.
Right?
I'm trying to get an
So-
answer. I'm trying to get an answer. please.
Sure, I'm sorry.
So, Sean, Andrew, is it an acceptable component on the playgrounds that would be considered as an ADA compliant material?
If it's installed correctly and maintained constantly, yes.
Thank you. All right, now you
Okay,
get your
so, sure, right, so then we're going back to the maintenance. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about that, right? So now we're gonna have to have somebody patrolling, if we do engineered wood, whatever we're calling it, to make sure a child or a elementary school is not kicking any of the wood chips or whatever we're calling them out of place. Perfect, that sounds cheaper. In addition to the maintenance, we're gonna have to replace it. In addition to the temperature, when I lived in Quincy and I worked at the Quincy Y, do you know how many firemen had to come and put out wood chip fires? Because they spontaneously combust. And there was a huge problem with that. I would rather have rubber for my kids that's not gonna combust, right, than having something like wood chips. In addition to the maintenance, if we're really talking about it, so we're gonna have to have somebody patrol every day, all 5 elementary schools, in addition to the 2 other places. And then we're also going to have somebody come, probably twice a year, because I mulch my yard and I know I have to do it in the spring and the fall. So that's going to increase costs. In addition to that, if we don't do that, do we all understand that we would not be ADA compliant and people could sue us? Has that been brought up? Has the lawyer part of it been brought up, that these playgrounds are going to be closed and people are going to sue the town, versus just saying, okay, 95% of the town is with this PIP. The only concerns I've heard is heat. Great. Look at the engineered stuff. That goes up in flames. I've know because I've seen it. You can go down. Call any police department or fire department, I'm sorry, and they could tell you stats on how many times they have to put out mulch. And it
What was the cause of that? What
increases,
were the causes of those mulch fires?
the cause was the heat, because it was 98 degrees in the summer, and how deep the mulch is. So when we're talking about maintenance, it has to be a certain depth, right? So the deeper it goes, the heater, right, it's wood. It's going to heat up and catch on fire. That's what it is. I've seen it multiple times. And I'm sorry if you're not, you can fact check me, please do. But when we're talking about maintenance costs, I would say that would be an issue. And again, has anybody talked about the lawsuits that the town will ensue if we are not ADA compliant?
I don't think,
We will,
yeah,
too. I promise you, we will. 100%. We 100% will.
I don't think.
And the money is already there. I'm not understanding. The money, the $750,000 that you are trying to put towards sunshades, towards different structures, towards all of these other things, is meant for
They're going to
resurfacing.
put it towards other things.
That's what I was hearing. So please, what is the $750,000 for?
John has $300,000 extra that he could put.
Okay, so $300,000 across, what, 8, 5, 6, 7 playgrounds? Okay, cool. So what is the 750 for?
To my understanding from the town meeting, to what I read, it was for the surfacing of the playgrounds, the pouring them.
Perfect. Okay, so how much does mulch cost?
Would you like to answer that? I mean,
I would.
what is the basis of these questions?
My basis is when I'm explaining this to my 9-year-old daughter, who wishes that she could be here so she could fight for the resurfacing so she can play with her friends at school, she turned to me and she said, I don't understand, Mom, are they trying to steal our money? If the money is meant for resurfacing and we have the money to resurface, And we can do this. I don't understand, Mom, why we can't do this. Why are they trying to steal our money and put it towards other places? So what my basis is if we have $750,000, we have the means to do this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We have the means to do this?
You are correct.
Perfect. We have a great solution. I don't understand where this is coming from. How do I explain that to my 9-year-old, that you're not trying to steal our money and use it for other things?
When you say steal money?
So it's $750,000 to resurface, right? 7 playgrounds, correct?
That's what was dedicated towards.
Yes.
Perfect. We're talking just about resurfacing, correct?
That's where we have to start to achieve the 3 goals that Andrew and I had: ADA compliance, maintenance,
Perfect.
and safety.
Okay, so does this PIP that we're talking about, does that mean everything?
Yes, it does.
Okay, perfect. If we had any extra money, where would that maybe go? Or would we have any extra money? So what I'm getting at is we have the money, correct?
Yes.
We have the means.
Correct?
We have the solution.
I think we do.
Do we need to get a petition from the kids?
I don't think that's necessary.
What do we need to do? Do we need to get more voters in here?
No, I think at the end of the day, we have a plan that we're going to execute. I think it's a solid plan to meet all the requirements we need to meet. And I think we need to get started on it.
Perfect. Can everybody agree with that?
I would agree that we come up with, as long as we have a plan for the playground,
It sounds like we do.
is a start. Andrew and.
No, it's not a
Andrew
start.
and-
He just said it's
Andrew
a
and
plan.
Sean just spoke earlier and says they visited 2 playgrounds and they have a plan.
And you visited how many last year? So do you have a plan? I visited some too. I bring my kids
Because they were
there.
closed down.
Yes, they are. And they might be again. So a plan that they have, correct? You guys have a
On
plan.
2 of them, it's to what they have spoken of, yes.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking them
No,
now.
it's going through me. The conversation's going through me, so keep that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So do we have a plan?
According to what Sean and Andrew said.
We have
they
a
have
plan
two-
for
They visited
2.
2 yes.
Okay, can we move forward on those 2? Can we get started on those 2?
You 2 kid answer that.
I would like to finish the other 3 tomorrow so we can get them all started.
Perfect. So could we potentially, if you visit those tomorrow, and we have 5 for elementary school, right? Could we get started on that so my kids can play with their friends starting by school start September 3rd?
That's our goal.
Okay,
They spoke to earlier,
I'm sorry?
which they spoke to earlier.
Correct. So I'm unsure of where the hesitancy is coming from. If they're saying that they have the plans and they have the money.
The hesitancy, in my opinion, is that, okay, we just got $750,000, $750,000. So the thing is that.
To
there were people-
resurface
there were
the
people-
playgrounds.
Please, I let you speak. Please let me speak. People have concerns in regards to the PIP, okay? So
Where are they? What are the concerns
I
that
think
haven't
someone just-
been?
I think someone just spoke. You were right
Yep.
behind them. Hold on. So the whole thing is that people have different thoughts on this. So let's hear everybody out before we go forward.
Okay,
In regards to the best plan. Andrew and Sean today went out and visited a couple of playgrounds. So instead of us just going out and just pouring in place all over the place, they went out there and said, hey, what do we do to the playgrounds before we take that course of action? So we don't have to hopefully dig anything out in the future and rip up the poured in place.
They
and start
came
the
up with a
process.
plan for 2 of the playgrounds, correct?
I
You
believe
just
that has
agreed to
been
that.
stated already, yes.
Perfect. Great. So we're on the
Yes.
same page.
I think, right, I'm hoping we're all on the same page.
We are.
I think that was stated.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Trish. Please, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here and for all the work that you've put in, and I understand the frustration. I just want to make sure that we're saying we're going to move forward on this. Are we going to have to come together again after they go through the other playgrounds? I mean,
No, I don't think, I mean,
I just
go ahead,
want to
Deirdre,
make
you wanna
sure
say
that,
something?
Can I comment on that real quick?
okay,
So,
yeah.
I've talked with Attorney Galvin about this. He made a comment at the last meeting, right? This is, no offense to the three of you, but this really isn't your issue. This is something that the DPW
actually, it is, Andrew.
is required
because The whole thing
to
is
do.
that's a taxpayer's money.
They're
so I wanna
required
make
to
sure
do
it's
it.
spent all right.
Okay, well, the DPW is required to maintain the grounds for the town. And they have gotten the funds to do that. So it's their issue to do that.
Well, let's remember.
And so we're here, honestly,
How many boards and
I'm
committees
here
were
as a
on the-
courtesy tonight.
How many boards and committees were on that article for the PIP?
I'm here as a courtesy tonight because I care about the kids in this town, all right?
We all do.
And we are here as a courtesy tonight to help explain this to you because you called this meeting, all right? We're working every day, during the day, to get this accomplished, okay? So part of what we did at work today was do an inspection. Also, what we did at work today was research, and we communicated with each other. So every single day, we are at work, working on this, okay? We're doing this as an informational session, an informational meeting, because you wanted to have it. But we made the decision last week at our working group, and we've been working towards that ever since, just so you know.
Yeah, it's fine. There's 5 boards on this article. You know that, right?
Who else?
One of them?
I'm one of them.
are one of them.
I applied for the application, and so did Mr. Maresco. We're the only two that did. We went before the CPC, and we explained what we were planning on doing, which is pretty much what I explained again tonight and last week. The town meeting voted to move forward with the money, with the plan that I had put in place months ago of how we're going to attack this. I don't think it's going to do anybody any good to delay any further. I think we need to move forward and do our due diligence for these folks that are sitting here in this room and the other ones that couldn't make it tonight.
I don't think anybody here is intentionally trying to delay this. I think, at least my opinion, from my perspective, is the fact that we just got town meeting approved $750,000 for a port in place. And then the whole thing is that there are people out there with different opinions on it that wanted to be heard. And
That's all fine and good.
The other issue is going forward is having a plan, if we decide to go with port in place, that it gets done right the first time, so we don't have to revisit it and spend another $750,000 because it wasn't done right. So that's the way I look at it.
I think that's what we're trying to do.
That's our job.
Yeah, you started it today, you said.
No, we've been.
No, we've been doing this.
You
We
said-
went and did the
you said
inspections
You went and
today.
visited 2 playgrounds.
We did the inspections today
Point
and
of
started
order.
doing the analysis.
Excuse me. I think we're kind of just going around in circles, all right? And I just
agree.
I think we heard what everyone had to say, and one sec. And I just think we're saying the same things again, okay? And I think we need to come to a consensus that everyone's done their work and they've spoken and we've heard them, and we need to figure out how we can end the meeting.
All right.
Megan Nyland, my daughter is Ellie, she is 6, she's in a wheelchair. I think at one of your meetings that you were actually at, Eric, it wasn't the last 2 because you weren't there, it was a town meeting. You said that, yeah, of course, you can get over wood chips in a wheelchair.
No, it was actually.
I can assure you, I don't care where it was, Eric, but I can assure you, you could not use my daughter's wheelchair and get over any wood chips, okay? You couldn't get over the lips in the playground.
I agree.
You couldn't get over anything. Second of all, Andrew has been working on this for months with us. He has met privately with us. He has done so much homework. You would think he is a father of a child with a disability. Unlike yourself, who clearly could care less because we keep meeting. We keep meeting and we're doing nothing. They have done their homework. They are trying their hardest. DPW and Andrew have gone above and beyond. And every mother here that has a disabled child or friend of that, we couldn't be more thankful. Thank you all so much. Diane, everyone. Third, all it will take me to do in an hour from now is go home, get on my computer, and I will go to the Massachusetts Gov website, and I will file a complaint against the town of Marshfield. We will be fined, and they will make you put the PIP in, no matter what. I don't know if you've done that homework either. Have you?
Can't say I
Do you
have.
want to be the person that everyone knows as, we were fined because you do not care about the rights and the abilities of children that are handicapped? Do you want to be that person, Eric? Because that's not
That's an unfair
far-fetched.
statement, I think, in my opinion. Because I already stated,
Eric,
My
we're here
purpose
again
is-
because of you.
What's that?
My kids still can't play in a playground because of you.
oh, because of me.
Yes, Eric, 100%. And any other
Please
mother
enlighten
here
me.
can raise their hand and say,
Please
yes,
enlighten
it's
me
you.
in regards to why
Because
it's my
Steve
fault.
and Trish, they're all for it. They're all for it. You can say whatever you want. I would kill for my daughter. I can assure you, Steve, Eric, I will do anything for my child and all of these children, all the children in Marshfield. You are not going to stop us. The state of Massachusetts will stop you.
I wasn't trying to stop anybody.
Yes, what are we here for again, Steve? But Eric, I'm sorry, I'm so done with you and your nonsense. It's ridiculous, it's insane.
Okay? Are you done?
No, and I won't be done until this starts. And you are literally the only person in this room stopping it. Only one.
I'm not stopping anything.
Anyone else raise your hand?
I-
Why are we here then, Eric?
Because I asked for a discussion on it. You showed up for a
So you and
discussion.
Marcy are against the PIP, and that's it?
Did I say I was against it?
Yes!
I said I wasn't a fan of it.
Go ahead, do you want to talk? Like what?
What are you a fan of that's ADA compliant, that's not wood chip?
I can, look, I said it before. I was like, if the PIP is the way to go, then so be it.
It's the way to go.
If everyone here thinks it's the way to go.
Do you want to vote right now?
There is no required vote. It's just a discussion. Did you read the agenda? It's a discussion on it.
Perfect.
Again.
You gotta-
And we're discussing.
Again.
Okay,
And my daughter in a wheelchair still has to watch her friends play. She cannot do anything on a playground.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Fair.
No, how do I not
Show me
care?
that you care.
Well, I don't know, explain to me how do I care? I mean, I'm
What?
$750,000 of taxpayer money to have a discussion on before we go forward to make sure the playgrounds are all set.
Taxpayers want to put their money towards it. All of these rock
All right, before this turns into a melee, let's just agree, we're going to do our jobs like we set out to do.
Yeah.
And move forward right now. End of discussion, no more.
I'm done.
Eric,
You have any of that?
your face.
Don't let-
I hope to see you in town soon. I hope to see you.
I'm right here, if you want to.
Eric, everyone knows who you are and how much of a piece of crap you are.
Thank you.
And no one wants you on this board again.
Thank you.
Not one person in this room
Thank you.
does. Have a good night.
Do you have any of that, sir?
Not really. It just seems like Jim Kennedy, 16
Thank you.
Gates Ave. It's just like, why are we back here again? And every time I hear someone that isn't for the PIP, they don't have any solutions. I'm so sick of hearing people, I'm not for it. Show me the studies where it's not good. Show me your solutions. No one has any solutions other than this PIP. So let's just go forward with it, all right? And with the heat, I feel like I'm an expert at this. I work in construction. I've talked to a ton of people. There is no way it does retain more heat, but there are ways around it. The light shields, using lighter colors.
I agree with that. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, so then I don't know why we're meeting again. That's all I have. Let's get this going, please.
I just want to say that the DPW always planned to have a community meeting to get everybody's input, but also always planned to make the playgrounds ADA compliant with the PIP. But it is my job in particular to respect and hear everybody's concerns and answer them. It doesn't mean that it's going to change anything. The DPW is going forward with this. We are only here, like Andrew said, as a courtesy because the select board wanted an update. The select board, this isn't their call. So if anybody on that board didn't agree with us, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen anyway. Okay? All right. Can we end the meeting? Because people want to go home, if you don't mind.
I'm not stopping you.
Okay.
Well, you have to.
I'm not, you can go, you don't have to wait for me to call it.
I just have one more comment,
Go ahead.
excuse me. Brian McIsaac, Tower Ave. So again, Monday I mentioned the price point of this whole discussion. The article was for $750,000. Did anybody do an actual assessment for the 5 parks, the 5 elementary schools that actually need the pour and play? And is $750,000 going to be enough money? I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think it is, because I actually have a girlfriend that actually does pour and play for all the Boston fields, actually. So I have actual knowledge of these certain instances and how this construction works. And I don't believe $750,000 is enough for even 3 of them, let's say.
I would say, Brian, if it isn't enough, there's another town meeting coming up in fall. We can
Right.
get the money.
Right, but in the meantime, what's happening to our children?
You can do it in a phase. You can get done what you can with the 750 and then go from there. But an assessment was made that 750 would be enough, right, Sean?
No, it wasn't. Excuse me.
So I'm going to refute that, Brian, as much as I don't want to. I have an engineer on staff that thinks that's going to be enough to do what we need to do.
No.
All right. And if it isn't, they can come back, but we can get
That is correct. We got to start
put it
somewhere.
out to bid, you see what the responses are, and then you adjust accordingly.
No, and I understand
be-
that, with all
it's
due
gonna-
respect, I understand that. But in the meantime, before these articles go forthwith to the town meeting, I think these assessments need to be done
They've already-
accordingly,
no,
so
the
that
money-
we can price point these budgets for the
money-
financial freedom.
The money's already been approved.
I'm trying to tell you, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay,
The money's been approved.
right.
So now it's a question of how the money gets spent. And so what has to be done is we have to put out a request for proposals, which I'm happy to
correct.
help with. We'll get that done. We'll get the proposals back. We'll review them to make sure that they're compliant with the bids that were put out, that they include prevailing wages, that they meet all the state requirements, and then an award is made. And then hopefully there's no challenge to the award so that you can just go forward and get the work done. And hopefully get it done within the timeframe that you're shooting for.
Same answer. Thank you very much.
All right. You good?
I'm good, unless Peter or Bob wanted to add anything. Town council's here on Zoom, but Peter, I'm sure knows a lot if he wanted to weigh in, or if Bob wanted to address any
No,
concerns.
I'm good. Again, this is the Department of Public Works project. The money is under their purview, and they're going to make the choices as to, how it is spent. I'm happy to help with the procurement process, and to answer any other questions that residents have as they come and work with you. Happy to talk about how to set up a committee that makes sense, and that will advocate effectively for continued funding on this. But I think we've covered all the bases tonight.
I couldn't agree more with you, Peter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all set?
Thank you.
All right. Take a vote to adjourn this meeting. Aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.